Hey again, YouTube. I've been working on a series of videos about retro DOS gaming on the PS Vita, but I got a little distracted by something I came across on the Vita homebrew database the other day. It was this release of version 0.8.7 Vita 5 of GemRB, an open source implementation of the Bioware Infinity engine behind Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, and their sequels. In short, this port of GemRB allows you to play all 8 Infinity Engine games, their expansions, and a lot of user-created mods on a homebrew-enabled Vita with playable performance and a convenient pre-configured control scheme. Did I sell it too hard? You'll have to let me know in the comments, but I'm really impressed by it. I've been sitting on all the Bioware games for a long time, but I never really got around to playing any of them. I gave Planescape Torment a shot a few years ago, but there were janky graphical issues I couldn't fix and I kind of gave up on it. Unfortunately, I didn't know about any of the community-made fixes at the time. There's a huge active modding community around these games, and they put together some very extensive, easy-to-install bug fix and tweak rollups. It's probably time to give Planescape Torment another shot, but this time with bug fixes, tweaks, extra content, in widescreen and on the Vita. I like to use the Easy VPK app to browse and download Vita software, but it's a good idea to take a look at the release page for whatever you're going to try. A lot of Vita homebrew needs additional setup, and some, like GemRB, need additional plugins to work. Over at Northfear's GitHub page, you can download the compiled VPK and necessary data files, or you can use something like Easy VPK like I'm doing here. As you can see, GemRB needs either the repatch Redux 0 plugin or the FDFix plugin for proper suspend and resume function. I tried running it without FDFix and the application crashed as soon as the screen was off. One of the things I really loved about this port was the pre-configured controls. Mapping buttons just sucks the joy out of gaming for me. And I really did like the scrolling text input system on the saved game and character input screens because it doesn't break the immersion of the game by popping up the Vita's on-screen keyboard. I'm really new to this series of games, but it seems like most of the critical buttons are already mapped. So far it seems like I'm not missing anything, but it might be one of those I don't know what I don't know scenarios. Over on the releases page, you can read about some of the updates. One that really stands out is the reduced loading times in the recent version. I haven't tried any of the previous versions, but the loading times for the base games were perfectly reasonable, if not fast. Back over on the Vita, it looks like Easy VPK is about done extracting the data files. This did take quite a while, but I might just have a slow memory card. Now we can run through the Planescape Torment setup on the PC, including the update, fix, tweak, and mod installations. Then we'll copy over our tweak data files, make a couple changes to configuration files, and hopefully shortly awake as a newly minted nameless one. I'll link to these below and discuss them more when we get there, but the new versions of the Infinity Engine Tweaks pack can be found at the Gibberlings3.net and the older versions at bootstrike.com. You're definitely going to want to take a look at the README for whatever pack you're installing, especially if you need any of the games. So I'll be installing the 4-disc version of Planescape using some backup images. I've lost a couple games to disk rot recently, and unfortunately this was one of them. In my case, the Tweaks Anthology hosted on Gibberlings wouldn't install with the widescreen mod. This might be due to having the obscure 4CD version of Planescape, but I'm not sure. From looking online, it seems like the current packs work well with the GOG and Steam versions of Planescape Enhanced and the 2CD version. After fiddling, I found versions of each of the fixed packs and mods that worked well together. I have terrible eyesight, so the widescreen and the large fonts were pretty important to me. I'll run through how to install the older versions of the packs here, but the process for installing the Anthology rollup is similar, just a little bit simpler. The Tweaks Anthology will probably work fine with anything other than my cursed edition of Planescape. I didn't run into problems installing the Tweaks Anthology with any of the other Infinity Engine games, so it's probably just my copy. After the installation is complete, open up the torment.ini file and change the path names for each of your CDs. And then we're going to copy all the content from each of those CDs to the path we specified in the torment.ini file. Next, we're going to patch the game to version 1.1 and then fire it up just to make sure all the paths and registry entries are set. Then we'll be installing FixPack 4.13, TweakPack 4.12, the Unfinished Business Reloaded mod version 1.5, the Widescreen mod version 3.07, and finally Ghost Dog's Widescreen UI mod. Now that the game's installed and updated, before I install any of the tweaks or mods, I just want to create a backup copy so I don't have to go through the whole installation process again if something goes wrong. Now we're going to install the Planescape Torment Fix Pack version 4.13. Extract those files from the zip file and then copy them all to your Planescape Torment path. Then run the setup PST fix executable. Be sure to read the README before installing these. There are a lot of choices that you can make that are going to dramatically change the way the game works. Now we're going to install the Planescape Torment Tweak Pack version 4.12. Again, this has tons and tons of options, so you're going to want to read the README. I have genuinely no idea if any of the things I did will actually improve the game at all. But they're different. And now we'll speed this up through the magic of time-lapse. Now we will go ahead and install the Planescape Torment Unfinished Business Reloaded version 1.5 mod. Again, this has tons and tons of options, so you're definitely going to want to read the README. Again, copy it to your game path and run the executable. Now we'll go ahead and install the widescreen mod version 3.07. With this one, run the executable and specify your game path in the install wizard. It'll pop up a window and start automatically. Now when you're installing the widescreen mod, you're given two choices. You can install the mod for the original Infinity engine or for GemRB. In my case, when installing it for GemRB, the widescreen UI mod wouldn't install. Instead, I installed the widescreen mod for the original Infinity engine, and then installed the widescreen UI mod. I had no problems with how it looks on the Vita. You can take a look later and let me know what you think. So because I was installing the widescreen mod for the Infinity engine, I decided to try specifying the resolution of the Vita, just in case. And because I was going to be trying this on my desktop, I put my desktop resolution as well. After a lot of scrolling and patching, it looks like it's done. Now we're going to go ahead and install Ghost Dog's Planescape Torment UI. I will copy that to their game path and run the executable just like the other ones. I'm not going to bring up the README, but you're definitely going to want to take a look. And then we can see that it's found our 4CD version. It seems to be installing some unique patches for that. One nice feature about Ghost Dog's UI mod is the ability to enlarge the fonts, which is a big deal for me because my eyesight is terrible. Now we'll go ahead and copy our files over to the Vita. The path is data gemrb/pst. And we'll speed this up with the magic of time-lapse. Now in the GemRB directory on the Vita, open up the pst.cfg file. If you don't see a configuration file there, follow the instructions on the GemRB Vita release page and make a copy of the example configuration file provided in release and just match up the values here. So specify the screen width and screen height as 960 wide and 544 tall. And because I wanted to try it, I changed the audio driver to the OpenAL driver just because I heard it had a little better sound. There are a couple other options you might want to take a look at in the configuration file, including the enabled cheat keys option. But the only thing you really need to change is the resolution and making sure your game paths are correct. After you save your configuration file, you're ready to go. Load up GemRB and hit the game that you want to play from the list on the left-hand side. The numbers you see in the upper left corner there are from a plugin called Lolicon. It allows you to overclock your Vita and also display the frame rate amongst a bunch of other things. This isn't running overclocked though, this is just running at the base clock speed, whatever it is. The video that you're seeing is output using the USB cable from the Vita and the UDCD video output plugin. That plugin itself doesn't output audio, but you can take the audio from the Vita's output jack and route it into whatever you need to capture. I think things look and sound pretty good even though I don't really know what I'm doing. You can be the harsh critics in the comments. If it's been a while since you picked up any of the Bioware Infinity Engine games, it might be worth giving them another shot. All the community bug fixes, tweaks, and mods out there make them run like entirely different games. Not the janky, crashy, buggy experiences they used to be. I was really impressed by this port and just how well it runs. I've gone back to it a bunch since I initially installed it for this video, and it's been smooth sailing except for a couple weirdly sized window glitches. If those happen, you can hit the map escape button, and the next time the window loads, it seems to be the correct size. If you found this helpful or have any trouble getting Planescape running on your Vita, let me know in the comments below. And I'll be back shortly with a compilation video on how to get the Icewind Dale and Baldur's Gate games running with GemRB on the Vita. And we'll be doing some DOS gaming on the Vita and some retro gaming on the PC. Unfortunately, I lost the last 4 videos I was working on due to an SSD crash, so there's a lot of catching up to do.
Hey, Chief, you okay? You playing corpse or you putting the blinds on the dusties? I thought you were a deader for sure.
right. All right. I'm gone. I'm gone. Done. All right. Done. All right. All right. Done. Done. I'm gone. Done. All right. Done. I'm gone. Done. All right. All right.